Hello again, fellow metal vinyl enthusiasts. Welcome back to the channel. No political content whatsoever in this video. I should just have a warning sign that for once I will not comment on the band's political views. This is just a short update because I sold 3 records from my collection. And just like that, I wanted to give them one final look before having them shipped to the new owner. But fear not, the political content will definitely be back in the next episode because first of all, I love to discuss politics. Second, and most important, I love to piss fascists off to the point where they have to post incredibly petty insults under my comment section. Starting off with MORTA SKULD, which is an LP I had no intentions whatsoever to sell. Dying Remains, year of release 1993, methinks, 1992, not really 100% positive about it, on Def Records. This is an incredibly underrated band hailing from I believe Milwaukee in the US. They're still active these days, which commands some respect because the guys must be probably approaching their 60s or something. They released some 5 or 6 more records, which are all in my collection. As I said, I didn't want to sell this LP because it's, first of all, it's MORTA SKULD's finest moment. Second, it was the very first LP I bought by the band. And third, I still loved it and still love it. But, as usual, the amount of money which was put on my table was just impressive. I won't reveal how much exactly, but it's this copy might as well be the most expensive copy ever sold by the LP. It went for considerably more than the most expensive copy ever sold on Discogs, just to give you an idea. And just like that, I had to say goodbye to this record. I will definitely miss it in my collection. Now, upon the new owner's request, I will not remove it from its protective sleeve because it's in absolutely 100% pristine conditions. It's a mint copy, which is very, very rare to find these days. Now, you might argue that it's, it always depends on how well you take care of your own records, which is of course a factor in the way LPs tend to stand the test of time. But in this specific case, it's not just a matter of me being a pretty careful collector, how much I hate this word, but also the fact that the pressing plant that the label chose for this LP was a professional one, and they did a marvelous job. They used this very heavy cardboard, glossy cardboard, again my obsession. And when you press an LP this well, it's a guarantee for it to stand the test of time. And as a result, 30 years later, this LP is looking like new. I took extremely good care of it. Absolutely love the cover artwork. It's primitive without being silly. It's necro without being ridiculous. That's the way death metal cover artwork has to look like. It's kind of sad that MORTA SKULD never really made it big. I mean, you might argue that they were not on the same par as people like D-Sign, Morbid Angel, Cannibal Corpse, etc., etc. You certainly have a point there if you say so, but still, even like that, I believe they were far superior to a lot of other acts which somehow got way more success than they did. I believe that Peaceville Records recently re-released the album, and I will definitely have to find a copy because I need a physical copy of this album in my collection now that the original is sadly gone. Goodbye, MORTA SKULD. I will definitely miss your presence in my collection. Beherit Engram is another LP which I sold. Now, this LP, I don't remember when it came out, like early 2000 perhaps, I kind of forgot it, but as a rule of thumb, you know that reunions in extreme metal rarely work out. How many bands can you count which released killer albums after being inactive for a number of years? Probably not that many. Beherit definitely an exception to that rule because Engram is a legit album. It's an absolutely killer record. I wouldn't necessarily put it on the same level as Drawing Down the Moon, musically speaking, but it's solid. 9 out of 10 record, I would say. Not a massive fan of this artwork. Never really understood what is like this green color supposed to be like, but the music is absolutely there, and that's what matters at the end of the day. All in Satan, what a wonderful song. Pagan Moon 2. Just a brilliant music all the way through. Again, not many bands are capable of coming up with such a strong album after like 20 years. I believe it was Beherit had been absent from the scene for 20 years before Engram was released. I myself, gotta admit, when I heard the news that Beherit were back, was kind of skeptical, but I had to just eat my own words. This album absolutely shreds. This is the very first pressing. I believe it has been reissued like 100 times, so you will not have hard times. You will not definitely struggle to find this LP if you're looking for a reissue. But even the very first pressing was limited to, I think, 3,000 copies or something. They pressed a shit ton of them. And just like that, you can definitely try to acquire one. Just like that, I also sold the very first 7 inch CP by the band, actually their vinyl debut, namely Dawn of Satan's Millennium, which is the way this EP has been known in the scene. At least that's the official name, but I'm sure I've been hearing different names for these CPs, like they have been calling it Black Mass Prayer a couple of times, and Beast of Damnation as well. But if I have to believe the information provided by Discogs, that's Dawn of Satan's Millennium, the way it's supposed to be called. Picture disc 1991 Turbo Records. This was not bought straight after its release, because my very first confrontation with the band came in the form of the awful Black Blood CD back in 1993 or 1994, something like that. Gotta admit, it took me some time to get used to the chaotic infernal chaos, chaotic infernal chaos. Okay, not exactly the best English expression ever, but you get my point. The sound on this EP is indeed pretty primitive. Production, don't expect to tell instruments apart very easily, but it definitely is a legendary release in the history of the genre. You can still find it without paying crazy amounts of money. I can't remember really the limitation of this EP, but I think I read on Hammer of Damnation Zine number 2 that they must have pressed like a couple of thousands, which explains the reason why it can still be found. Probably not that cheap, don't expect to get it for like €10. But it can still be found. It's a picture disc EP. I wonder why it was never reissued as a regular 7 inch EP. Would look absolutely gorgeous on a regular vinyl sleeve, but it is what it is. So yeah, on one hand you have the very first release, and on the other hand you have the very first release after the reunion. So guys, that does it for this episode. Let me know down in the comments your own opinions about the records we have just seen. I'm especially interested into feedback on the MORTA SKULD one, because again, don't want to repeat myself, but it's a criminally underrated band which would have deserved way more success. Let me know what you think about them. Till the next time, as usual, keep it loud and heavy.